The Khyal was invented in the 12th century by Amir Khusro, though it was not before 1498 or 1503 when it obtained its name from the text written by Qutban, the exiled court musician of the exiled Sultan of Jaunpur, Hussain Shah. Scholars have been confused over whether the Khyal really existed in the 12th century, since the texts mention the term only later. Yet the two most essential elements of the Khyal, the Qawwal and the Tarana, many creations of Amir Khusro, often spoken as of the Da Vinci of India, but better to think of him as the Tagore of the 12th century. Khyal is often thought to have derived from the Sanskrit root of kili, to maintain the erotica of the genre often produces, or it has sometimes been assigned to the Arab word khayal, meaning imagination. Both satisfy some of the musical appeal of the genre. Given that it started in the 12th century from the Qawwal singing, khayal may well be the distortion of the guttural K. The classical music that existed before the Muslim conquest was the Drupad, sung in temples or by musicians as prayers. Sanskrit, Hindavi and Persian texts have carefully documented the Hindu form of classical music in pre-Muslim days. The Khyal came in with the Muslim conquest. Amir Khusro was a Persian and was the court musician, poet, philosopher, advisor of Alauddin Khilji, the latter being a Pathan, but because Persia was high culture, Turks, Arabs, Mongols and Pathans courted them to become their Brahmins. Khusro sang the Qawwal for Nizamuddin Aulia, the moral emperor of Islam, and the Tarana for Khilji, the sword-wielding emperor of India. Together with the Qawwal and Tarana emerged the compositions of Khusro. It was not yet called the Khyal. Khyal got its name much later in the Sultanate of Jaunpur of Hussain Shah Shariki in 1503. The Mughals, notwithstanding the brief interlude of Sher Shah, had pushed the Sultanate off limits and started towards building their own empire on Delhi. Qutban, the court musician of Jaunpur, along with the Sultan in exile, documented, stamped and branded the Khyal. Akbar banished Khyal as being a vestige of the Sultanate and, keeping in line with his sentiments, established the Drupad, the pre-Islamic Hindu music, as central to the Mughal aesthetics. The conflict between the Khyal and the Drupad may well be read as a contest between the Mughal and the Sultanate. As the Sultan started to lose political power, they romped back with their oral spectacle, music in the form of the Khyal. As Shariki was shoved eastward, there emerged the Ganga-Jamuna culture known as the Purbang. Hindus wrote in Persian, Persians wrote in Sanskrit, and as Professor D.P. Mukherjee, father of Indian sociology, writes, that at least in music there was no Hindustan in Pakistan, but there was a clear contestation between the Drupad and Khyal, masking the competition between the Mughal and the Sultanate for legitimacy. Out of favor from the Mughal court, Khyal practitioners and patrons heavily and speedily documented the genre. The documentation was also important because Khyal was absorbing many genres along its course. Shariki's court used the chutkula into Khyal, chutkula being couplets of poetry which breathed some performative aspects into the form. Documentation, diversity, and loss of political power are connected features. As the film Baiju Bawra shows clearly that musicians from the society at large were looking for some form of presence in the Mughal court, where the N.A. is clear the form of Drupad was being perfected. Later Mughals from Shahjahan opened the borders of Drupad, and we see elements of bhajans coming in. Khyal was now becoming even more performative, promoting Kathak widely in the princely domains. Aurangzeb's court musician Kushal Kant Kalavant and his disciples Ras Baras Khan and later Niyamat Ali Khan or Sadarang brought the two styles close to each other, and Khyal adopted the Drupadi Alap as part of its core identity. As the Mughal court declined, as did many of the princely powers of leading noblemen, power moving to Maratha princes, Ranjit Singh in Punjab and important Zamindar Rajas in Bengal Gharana became the dominant feature. Gharana meaning the house being that of the leading musician or a set of musicians. Gharanas were of Guru Shishya tradition, where music teaching became teacher to student under strict supervision. Due to the rise of the zamindars, we find a market for music. Secrecy develops, networks and nepotism prevail, and documentation declines. La la